Okay, I'm starting chapter skill number 4, chapter 17, I believe. I'm starting it mid-chapter on page 177. I actually started teaching and then I forgot that I wasn't recording. So whoever's watching this recording, you could just read the beginning of the chapter on your own. And if you have any questions, you could always ask. Okay, page 177. Receive, receive, receive. Good receivers are more confident. You may be wondering, why is it so important to always receive graciously? There are 7 reasons. 1, being a good receiver makes you more attractive because you appear more feminine. Being a good receiver gives you more intimacy and better emotional connection. In a way, when you receive, you also give. Doesn't it feel good when you give someone a present and they are genuinely happy to receive it, to get it? If you reject the gift, you also reject the giver. And the emotional connection you could have had with that person is lost. Being a good receiver makes you more confident. Contradicting someone who compliments you is the same as putting yourself down. That reveals that you feel undeserving. If you take in what he's saying and adopt his positive perspective, that makes you feel good about yourself. If someone says, "You're so beautiful," and if I don't believe that about myself, if I feel unworthy of that, um, I'll just say, "Oh, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's so not true." Or I could say, "Thank you." Just think, even if I don't believe it, I just say, "Thank you." And maybe I start thinking, I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. And it's something that I can adapt into myself. It's a different way that I could see myself that I maybe haven't seen before. Um, Being a good receiver increases your tolerance for good things. If you're not in the habit of accepting compliments, gifts, and help, then you probably aren't comfortable having them. Things won't get better until you increase your tolerance. One way to do that is just hang in there with the receiving until you get used to it. It's uncomfortable. I'll tell you guys, when I started working on my receiving skills, like it was so uncomfortable. When somebody would give me a compliment, I would right away, like the rebuff would right away come to mind. Like I was so uncomfortable saying thank you. Or if someone would give me a compliment, I would have to give them a compliment back. But how realistic is that? Like when you give someone a compliment, are you expecting a compliment back? I know I don't. When I see someone and like I love their dress or I love their hair or I love their shoes, I'm just thinking in that moment, like, I love your shoes. And if they say thank you, that's totally cool. Like I don't expect anything more. But when someone would give me, I love your sweater or I love your hair, I right away have to say, oh, you look beautiful too, or I love your outfit. Like I always felt like I had to respond with a compliment, but that's not the case. The only thing that I need to say when I get a compliment to really receive it is thank you. And in the beginning it was very uncomfortable, but the more that we practice it, the better we get at receiving. Maybe we picked up a belief that if I don't say a compliment back or whatever it is, that I'm not being humble, but there's no humility in rejecting a compliment or rejecting a gift that someone gives us. There's no humility there. There's no vulnerability. It's the opposite of that. The day after a play day with a friend and her kids, Renee's friend texted her to say, "That was fun yesterday. You kids are so cute." Renee's impulse was to respond immediately and say, "So are yours." Instead, she stopped herself. Renee was just learning the feminine art of receiving, and she was keenly aware of her urge to even the score, which is a common way of relieving the discomfort that we sometimes feel when we receive a compliment. As an experiment, Renee decided to just thank her friend without reciprocating. She texted her only "thank you" and nothing more. It was not as awkward as she imagined, because Renee knew that when she gave someone else a compliment, she didn't expect one back. As a result, Renee got to really enjoy this compliment about how adorable her children are, which, like any proud mother, she loved hearing. Being a good receiver attracts more gifts to you because people love to give to good receivers. One woman told me that when she was learning about the feminine art of receiving graciously, she got to observe her child's teacher modeling good receiving. When the kids got her end of the year presents, she oohed and ahed about each gift, making each child feel special. Her ability to receive graciously was itself a gift to those children who got to feel connected to their beloved teacher. We can do the same thing in all our relationships. Being a good receiver gives you more free time because you have more help, including emotional support, advice about your challenges, and help with chores or other responsibilities. I'll tell you, my son yesterday decided to make a cake. You know, if I wouldn't be in my good receiving state, I would just be thinking about the controlling part. Yes, there was a big mess, but you know what? There was also a beautiful cake. So again, when someone wants to give and we're good receivers, we look at, at the gift and not at the things that we don't want. We look at what we do want. Being a good receiver feels great. You are the princess while you're receiving. Why shouldn't you enjoy that moment? Good receivers are more attractive. Since men are naturally very attracted to the feminine, the better you are at receiving, the more attractive you'll be. When we take a feminine approach, there's nothing a man won't do to please us. That starts with acknowledging that we're different and really celebrating that. Like the world that we live in today is all about, oh, women are equal to men, and men are their own, and we are special in our own way. We have special privileges. Why not use it? You know, it doesn't mean that we're not equally valuable. We're equally valuable, but we have our own special gifts. If you're feeling cold and your husband offers you his jacket, thank him and luxuriate in that jacket. That's being receptive and allowing him to be masculine with you, which feels good all around. It feels good to him and it feels good to us. So why not receive? If he tells you that you're beautiful, accept the compliment graciously. If he offers to help you carry the boxes you are about to move, let him. There's no downside. Just smile and say thank you. I find now that I've been taking a feminine approach with my husband for so long. I have it with me wherever I go. On a plane recently, a man sitting in my aisle asked if he could get my bag from the overhead compartment. I didn't have a bag in the overhead compartment, but I kind of wished I did because it would have been nice to let him get it. I would have felt feminine and he would have felt masculine, and we'd both have felt good. These days, I accept those kinds of offers out of habit. I've gotten used to getting special treatment. Like some women will say, like, I don't need a man to hold the door for me. I can hold my own door. But we're feminine. We get the special treatment, so why not receive it? A few minutes later, on our way to baggage claim, we came to a long staircase. Another man who had been seated next to a businesswoman offered to carry her rolling suitcase down the stairs for her, but she said, "No thanks, I've got it." He ran off ahead very quickly, probably feeling rejected, and she muttered, "Well, this is scary," as she tried to navigate the stairs and her bags by herself. Then she turned to me and said, "I'd have to be able to do this myself if he wasn't here." She missed the chance to get help with her luggage, which it seemed like she could have used. It's like there's a story about the man who was drowning, and Hashem and there comes a boat, and he said, "No, no, Hashem will save me." And then someone sends him like a lifesaver, and he says, "No, no, Hashem will save me." And then he ends up drowning, and he's coming up to Hashem, and he says, "Hashem, what happened? I believed in you. I trusted in you. I knew you were gonna save me. Why didn't you save me? You let me drown." He said, "I sent you a boat. I sent you a lifesaver." So the same thing. She's like, "Well, I have to learn how to do this by myself." Where's the trust? You know, Hashem literally sent her the help. If we have the belief that I need to do everything by myself, we're rejecting the gift that Hashem is giving us. She missed a chance to get help with her luggage, which it seemed like she could have used. And she missed the chance to feel feminine because she thought she had to be independent. She didn't. Consider Someone just texted something. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. Consider too that you can't give and receive at the same time. The more you're doing things for a man, the less you're in a position to receive. And your doing, the giving, is less appealing to him because it's less feminine. Your husband doesn't want you to schedule his doctor appointments or buy his underwear because he would rather be doing things to delight you. If you spend time taking care of yourself instead of him, you're more likely to be receptive, grateful, and happy when he puts gas in your car or weeds the garden. Seeing you satisfied from his efforts is a big part of what makes him feel successful as a husband. If we treat him like a child and I'm the mother and he's the child, there's no intimacy in that relationship. Like, no, again, I say this every single week, I feel like nobody wants to sleep with their mother. There's no intimacy, there's no like that connection, that a husband and wife, that magnetism, that attraction, it's just lost. He's a grown man, he can buy his own underwear. He's a grown man, he can schedule his own doctor's appointments. Like, we need to create that space for him. If we're not used to it, if it's something that we've been doing all the time, all we have to do is just create that space for him, and he will come into that space. He will, take over. In the beginning, it might be uncomfortable. He might be confused. And again, confusion is a good thing. It means that we're disrupting the usual pattern. What to do when you receive gifts you hate. When we reject gifts and compliments, we squash intimacy, insult the giver, and miss out on having something delightful. Before they were married, Tara's husband got her a bottle of perfume for Valentine's Day. It wasn't one she particularly liked, and she let him know that and discarded the gift. He hadn't bought her a present since, and they'd been married for 15 years. When Tara learned the 6 intimacy skills, she had the painful realization that she taught her husband never to buy her anything all those years. So she realized that because she rejected that bottle of perfume, what did he get? That I can't make her happy. He felt rejected and he gave up trying. He's like, I'm not even gonna try. So for 15 years, he wasn't buying her anything. So she decided to concentrate on practicing the skill of receiving to see what emerged in the gift-giving department. Sure enough, for Christmas, her husband bought her the first gift of their entire married life, an unusual, beautiful name brand sweater. Tara was delighted and astonished. She gratefully thanked him and put it on to show him how well he had chosen for her. She found she didn't want to take it off, both because it made her feel beautiful and desired, and because it symbolized a new gratifying connection between them. I had one woman ask how she was supposed to pretend she liked the gift her husband got her, even though she didn't. That's dishonest, she complained. Maybe, but maybe bringing manners into the relationship will help preserve the intimacy, and maybe that's more important. Only you know what fits you. So she's saying that even if, imagine a friend gave you, not your husband, but a friend gave you a gift. Like, you would have manners, right? You wouldn't reject your friend. You would say, "Oh, thank you for putting that time into getting me a gift." I know that for me, there was a time when I was critical of everything my husband picked out for me, if it wasn't what I would have picked out for myself. So he stopped buying me anything. I should have saved us both a lot of time and married myself, right? If you want someone to do things exactly how you would do them, then we just marry ourselves. You can always find something truthful and polite to say when a friend gets you something. You might say, "What a pretty color," or "I've never seen anything like it, thanks." Extend the same courtesy to your husband. Do this because you want to nurture the relationship and show you're open to being showered with gifts. The gifts won't all be exactly what you would have picked out, but for that, you can go to the store and buy things yourself. Sometimes we reject gifts without even realizing it. One woman told me I would never reject my husband's gifts. Her husband overheard and said, "What about the juicer I gave you? You sure complained about that." She'd rejected that because it didn't match her agenda, which was that he should get her something more romantic. Granted, a juicer isn't the most romantic present in the world, but it was something he thought she would like. If you also gotten that kind of gift, a battery charger for Valentine's Day or a Swiss Army knife for your birthday, you're not alone. At a live event, I asked who had received a gift from her man. There was a bit of a head scratcher, and almost every hand went up. Your husband has a different perspective than you do, and he may see something about you that you don't see about yourself or be thinking about your safety or comfort. Instead of getting stuck on that, consider the thought behind the gift. The woman who got that Swiss Army knife for her birthday said she ended up really appreciating that gift over time. So sometimes, we'll receive a gift and our mind, the Yetzer Hara starts all these stories. He doesn't know me, doesn't care about me, he's not romantic. We take it so personally. We get so anyway, the stories that are just the narrative, all these movies in our head, it just, it makes us so unhappy. But again, there's men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We just from different planets. He might see something that, like, let's say that the juicer, maybe you mentioned something once, like, oh, I would love to make juice or something. And he's coming from a different space of like, I just want to make my wife happy. One time she mentioned that she would like a juicer. So, I'm fulfilling that desire. And here we are thinking like, my husband's not romantic. He doesn't care about what I really want. What I really wanted was diamond earrings or whatever, and we take it personally and we kind of cause ourselves needless emotional turmoil, like Laura calls it, needless emotional turmoil by like just telling ourselves all those stories that don't serve us. You deserve to have practical functional things as well as sweet, luxurious things. And your man deserves the pleasure of giving you all of them. So start receiving graciously, and the gift will multiply and come with greater enthusiasm almost immediately. It takes more courage, for me at least, to receive compliments, gifts, and help graciously than it does to retreat to false modesty. It really does take a lot of courage and a lot of humility and a lot of vulnerability to receive gifts. It's really like a muscle that we have to work at. Even if you feel guilty, uncomfortable, just notice that these feelings are going to come up. Just notice them like they're little children coming up. You when someone gives you something and you feel guilt, just notice that gift and guilt. Name the feeling, name it to tame it. Just, okay, I'm feeling guilt, and just, I love you, I love you, I love you. Just love it. We don't only love the good feeling, because when we go into I love you, we kind of open up our heart and we let the feeling come in and leave us. When we feel guilt and we don't know what to do with it, we suppress it in our body, we clench it in, and then that guilt turns into like all different kinds of havoc and sicknesses and all of these things. But when these feelings come up, uncomfortable feelings, we feel them and we just say, we see them as a little child asking for attention. And I love you, I love you, I love you. We keep our heart open. It comes in and it comes out, and we feel much better afterwards. So just, I'm telling you, these feelings are going to come up. Just be aware of it. Even if you feel guilty, uncomfortable, undeserving, immodest, or out of control, just say thank you. Adopting the habit of a gracious receiver will help you draw things to you with minimal effort. Instead of having to pull them toward you by force or manipulation, sometimes accepting a gift graciously is the greatest gift of all. It shows that you understand that others, especially the man in your life, feel pleasure when you allow them to give you something. So how do you do that? When you're given something, do what your mother taught you. Smile and say, thank you. Receiving is harder than it looks. Sounds deceptively easy to receive graciously, but we don't always do it. Why is that? There are 6 reasons. Receiving can make you feel out of control. You can't predict what the other person will say. Everybody else may be looking at you, putting you unexpectedly in the spotlight. You might think, everybody is looking at my hair now, and I don't feel that good about how it looks, right? Like if somebody tells you, oh, I love your hair, all of a sudden, like you feel like you're getting that attention and it's not what you wanted. So it makes us feel out of control. Again, the skills teach us to relinquish control. If someone gave us a compliment, the only thing that we need to say is thank you. Receiving graciously can make you feel as though you're being arrogant. What did we all learn in junior high? Don't be stuck up. You may still be thinking like you did back then. People will think I'm conceited if I say thanks when they compliment me, right? It's just a limiting belief, guys. Throw it out. Receiving graciously can bring up feelings of distrust. You may wonder if the compliment is insincere or meant as a manipulation. Let's say a salesperson gives you a compliment. You might think he's just trying to butter me up, so I'll buy something. Again, all of these things, it's just Yetzer Hara. It's not, you are going to have these thoughts coming up. That's why I think she put it into the book, just for you to have awareness. When it comes up, just notice what it is. It's not truth. Receiving graciously can make you feel undeserving. You don't want to impose on anyone, so you'll refuse help. You might think, I can't expect other people to help me with my work. Everybody has to pull their own weight. I used to think that other people were keeping score because I was always keeping score. That's what part of me believed was appropriate for gift giving. Tit for tat. Instead of simply accepting things that were offered for my enjoyment, I calculated whether I could afford to reciprocate or not, and then responded accordingly. Gift giving and gift receiving made up a giant scorecard, and it seemed like I could never get ahead. I constantly felt bad for not keeping up or cheated if I felt I'd gotten less than I'd given. Okay, we have Purim coming up, and sometimes we will receive like these big grand basket. It doesn't mean that we have to give these. I mean, if it's something that we're doing anyways, then yeah, we should do that. But just because we received a grand basket for somebody, it's not tit for. It's not. That's just a limiting belief. And if the other person really feels um they feel offended that you didn't give them a grand basket, then they're allowed to have their own feelings. That's on their paper. This is a very important time where we give from the bottom of our heart, right? And when we receive, again, we don't judge them. If we gave them like a big basket and they gave us something small, just thank you. It doesn't matter. It's not about the thing. It's just it's the giving. But we can, put ourselves in needless emotional turmoil and have all these stories about, oh, like I gave them this big thing and I got the small thing back, and it's needless emotional turmoil. It's not necessary. I feel like this chapter came like right in the right time for us. Receiving graciously can pose a threat to your independence, or so you think. As columnist Kanye Schultz wrote, my husband had to convince me that letting him make me coffee in the morning did not mean I was giving up my right to vote and own property. When I was newly married, I would have been, sorry guys, I just have to let my dog out. 1 second. Thank you for bearing with me. So letting your husband make you coffee in the morning doesn't mean that you have to give up your right to vote and own property. When I was newly married, I would have been hard pressed to admit that I needed help from anyone. I once carried a heavy box of books from our car up the stairs to the apartment, even though my husband would have happily carried them for me. I was proud because this showed I could take care of myself, and I can. But everyone needs help from time to time, and accepting help doesn't make you weak. It makes you more feminine. I missed a lot of chances to be intimate with a man who only wanted to make me happy, make my life easier, and please me. Now it's no longer my goal to be independent. What I want is to be interdependent with my husband. I don't need his help, but I want it. Feeling independent is I used to be very into that. Like, I need to be independent. I need to stand on my own 2 feet. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? That's a survival mechanism. That's like, all of these limiting beliefs that I'm alone in the world. But in reality, we're here to live interdependently. We depend on each other. That's a healthy relationship. Thinking that I just need to be independent on my own or to be dependent on someone, that's not healthy. Healthy relationship is interdependent. Finally, receiving graciously can be difficult because sometimes you have an agenda. For instance, let's say your husband wants to take you to dinner and to a movie, and you're afraid it will cost too much. Your agenda is to save money. So you say, we can't afford it. Let's just watch something at home instead. Seems practical and harmless, right? Nope, you just rejected his gift. Refusing to go out for the evening or implying that your husband is being financially irresponsible calls his judgment into question. This will make him less enthusiastic about taking you out on a date in the future. And whether you know it or not, consciously or unconsciously, you are always teaching people how to treat you. You felt as though you had a valid reason for rejecting his offer to take you out. But with that decision, you made saving money more important than having a night of fun and the intimacy with your husband. Receptivity is the essence of femininity. The reason you deserve special treatment is because you're a woman. It's your birthright. So start acting like you deserve it by receiving graciously. You'll appear more self-confident, and over time, you'll feel more deserving too. When So You Think You Can Dance host Kat Deely was nominated for an Emmy, the judges started congratulating her as soon as she came onto the stage. They also told her how beautiful she looked. Kat graciously received the compliments and the congratulations. She didn't divert attention from herself. She just took it all in, smiling radiantly and looking the part. The judges had also been nominated for an Emmy, but Kat didn't let that distract her from basking in the spotlight of being noticed and complimented. She demonstrated gracious receiving perfectly, which is part of what makes her so successful, attractive, and confident. The ability to either receive or reject is a part of your power as a woman. You don't have to receive everything that's offered to you, but deciding whether to receive or reject certainly impacts your relationship with the giver. All right, so we're going to stop here. Okay, any questions? Were there any questions in the chat? This is, yeah, this chapter really like very close to my heart. I feel like of all the chapters, this one is the most challenging for me, but definitely getting much better at it every day. Okay, turn your cameras on, guys. Let's talk. Talk show is on now. Hi, Anessa. I don't think we met before. How are you?
Good, how are you? It's my first time on. Nice
Hey,
to meet
welcome,
you.
welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
So, what did you think of today's topic?
No, it's very interesting. I think we know what we're supposed to do, but we don't do it. A
Right.
lot of the things that you mentioned, we know we don't follow. I think a lot of women are just so used to being strong and they don't want to show that they're weak and that they're dependent on the opposite sex.
Right.
I also think that it's hard to change yourself because when you're used to a certain behavior, your ego kicks in. And to be able to break that ego is very hard. I mean, speaking from my own personal experience, it's very, very hard. And not getting what you want in situations in a marriage and constantly fighting for the same thing and not getting what you want, you just give up in situations and you just let it be, which is not the right thing, I think, because you feel like there's no other way to have a solution.
But once you practice these skills, you're gonna get what you want a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a way, there's a way to express our desires in a way that inspires. And our men, they want to make us happy. It's a natural, it's the way Hashem created them. They have a natural drive and desire to fulfill us and make us happy. But what we do by criticizing them, by rejecting them, they kind of have to defend themselves and then they stop fulfilling our desires, they stop giving because we rejected them so much. So by opening that back up again, opening up our heart, being vulnerable, expressing desire in a way that inspires without without controlling them, when we step into our feminine again, they're able to step into their masculine, and miracles happen.
But I have a question. What if you're with someone who's just emotionally not available?
So can I tell you something? Again, I know it's your first class here,
Yeah.
but the power is by looking at me. Because when I change, everything around me changes. I cannot change anyone else except for me. But when I change, automatically we lift up our kids, we are feminine is the earth, okay? The
Right.
masculine is the seed. If the earth is hard and firm, if I'm not receiving the seed is useless without it, right? The
Right.
seed has the potential to become a tree. It has so much potential, but if I'm being like if I'm not receiving the seed, it's useless, and it feels frustrated. And I feel frustrated because I also have the capacity to become this vessel for this great tree to grow. So we're both like
Mm.
in this state of frustration because he wants to give, I want to receive, but we're both like, we don't have that intimacy. We're both like on opposite sides of the room. So when I work on myself and nourishing myself, it starts with self-care. Okay, go back to chapter 1, very important chapter. Start with self-care. What do I need? What makes me happy? What do I want? Like just tap into your desires. What is it that I want? That's a very, very important place to start.
Can
Just
I?
start like what makes me happy and what do I want? And I promise you, like from my own experience and from other women in this group, like it's life changing. When we start to fulfill ourselves and we're not running on empty and we're not in the masculine, we create that space for him to come in the masculine. We're in our feminine power.
So you're saying like when you're focusing on yourself and you're just doing what makes you happy and you
Yeah.
sort of don't wait for the other partner to make you happy, he'll just come
Nobody can
around.
make you happy. Nobody
You have
can
to
make
make
you happy.
yourself happy.
Can I
And
add
again, the
something
ego
to
is
this?
going to come in and the ego is going to tell you all these stories that he needs to make you happy. And there's going to be a lot of resistance. Whenever we grow, there's resistance.
Yeah.
But if we
But
stay in
he'll
that
just say
resistance,
he'll come around when he's ready to come around and when he sees you at a
when
different
you
light.
are happy, I promise you, like just make yourself happy, just around him, just be happy, dance, see how he responds to you. Just experiment with this. I did that in the
Right.
beginning. Just I'm giving you an experiment. Like just be in the kitchen and just like put on some music and just put a smile on your face.
Right.
Just like that, be girl of fun and light. See how he responds to your energy.
Yeah.
Imagine me, like my husband comes home. What do you want? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go make you dinner. Or
But you see,
"Hi,
like, I don't
sweetheart,
know how is
how
it
was
for
your
a lot of women.
day?"
I don't know
Like
how is it
which
for a lot
energy
of
do you feel more attracted to?
you don't feel anything. You don't feel attracted to that. I agree. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just me, but like I hate the fact that I let my partner have such a big effect on my mood, on how
You're
I
giving your
feel.
power away, and your neshama, who you really are, that's not who you are. You're not
No,
standing in your integrity. That's
no,
why
it's
you
not
feel
who I am.
frustrated by that. So take your power back, girl. This is what this class
Yeah,
is all about. It's coming back into your power because the only one who could truly make you happy is you.
is yourself. Thank you.
And when I'm
Thank you for
pointing
your
to you,
time.
I'm really pointing to me because you are me and I am you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Can I add something?
Sure.
I think what Inessa was mentioning earlier is you give up, right? So I think I'm speaking to myself here too. I think the consistency is key here, not to give up. Is what I have been doing also, like um being happy and presenting to be, happy so that he
Fake it
changes
till
in
you make
return.
it.
You have to be consistent with that, because I used to be like, oh, he's not getting it, and I would be like a bitchy again. And then again we're to square one, and
It
right
doesn't get
now,
bitchy doesn't get results.
exactly.
Divine
So
feminine sexy goddess gets you a lot of results.
speaking of receiving, right now I'm sitting here doing this, and he thinks that this is me time, my self-care. My kitchen is a mess, and right now I hear the dishes. So he's doing something in the kitchen. I don't like how he loads the dishwasher, but I'm gonna go downstairs after this and express my gratitude no matter how well he did it. I will redo it when he doesn't see it.
You are my hero. You are my hero.
But
I'm so
yeah,
inspired by you right
so
now.
lately I have been working on being consistent with whatever skill it is, and it's key, like with anything else that we do in life.
That's so beautiful. Can you share this in the group, please? Because we need this inspiration. You need to light
I
up
have
the other
goosebumps now
women.
because it's like I hear the dishes right now.
But do you see, you
And
created the space, because if you would have been in the kitchen, he wouldn't have been, you created the space and
yeah,
he's coming in and and I'm sure that it didn't happen right away.
it's also I twisted my ankle a week ago and I'm like barely walking. And with that, Hashem is telling me, I take it as Hashem is telling me, slow down, girl. Slow
Oh,
down.
yeah.
And he started to pick up with helping with the kids in the morning routine, the night routine.
Which foot did you hurt, right or left?
Left.
Left. Yeah, that's the masculine.
Oh yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah. So speaking of masculine
Wait,
and
left is the right is the masculine, left is the feminine.
so what does that mean?
Left is the feminine. That, yeah, you need to take a break for sure. You're
Right.
doing too
So
much.
Inessa, I want to tell you that the stronger we are as women, the more masculine we are, the more feminine they are.
Yep.
And I see it
But
with
there
my
has to be
husband.
polarity. There has to, because
Right.
Balance.
There's no
there's not going to
balance like
be
right now.
too feminine or too masculine. If we come into the masculine, they're going to come into the feminine. But
Exactly.
if we're the feminine and we create that space for them to be in their masculine, automatically they have no choice. That they might not like it in the beginning. Like my friend was telling me that she, her husband was getting dressed, and she was like, he's like, what should I wear? Because she used to tell him what to wear. She was like very, very whatever. And he's like, what should I wear? He already like afraid, like to dress up by himself. He already asked her, what should I wear? And she tells him, whatever you think, because she's trying to practice the skills. And he's like, what do you mean? Are you mad at me? What happened? Which is normal. It's gonna happen.
Right.
This
Right.
is
It
just,
takes time that
we're
breakthrough.
dancing a new dance. We're making new steps, and they are gonna be uncomfortable, and they are gonna be like I have to be a masculine now. Like I don't know how to do that. Like I haven't done that for so many years. Like,
Yeah, but
which is
certain situations, I'm sorry to cut you off. Like if they don't make a decision, you have to make that decision
no, you
because
don't.
sometimes
No,
men take
no.
forever
That's
to
surrendering.
decide
go.
on something.
That's surrendering control.
Like
I
my
know you
husband
think
will take forever to decide on something, and that just drives me nuts.
That's the
so. That
point where
drives
I
you
am right
nuts.
now
That's your
at.
tikkun in this life, is to,
Let go.
Back off.
meaning that drive you nuts, that's the needless emotional turmoil. I mean, you could receive that as, you know what, every time it's going to take forever, it's going to drive me nuts, or this is who he is, and this is the man that I married, and making your own self-fulfilling prophecy. Look for the good in him and increase that. Whatever we look for, it increases. You could either say my husband takes forever to make decisions, or my husband makes amazing decisions. Like when my husband would go into his tantrums or whatever, the mantra that would be inside my heart, my husband is loving and full of praise. My husband is loving and full of praise. And his whatever he was going through, he's allowed to have emotions. He's a human being. And I would always feel like I need to fix all of his emotions. No, that's on his paper. He's a human being. He's allowed to have his emotions. What's in my control? How I feel about the story. What story am I telling myself? Oh my God, he's having a tantrum. Now I have to feel bad. Or the story that I'm telling myself is my husband is loving and full of praise. And guess what? It would last a lot less than it usually would, because it's happening for me. It's happening to help me rise up in whatever I'm working through.
Got it.
Right?
I want to make another
notice
point.
that when you feel uncomfortable, like, where's the growth here for me? Where can I surrender here? What is my self-fulfilling prophet? What is the story that's going on? take pen and paper, write that story down. Like, just have awareness of what's really going on in your mind.
I don't know. I became a reflection of my partner. I was completely different at a point.
So it's your choice. You can stay where you are, or you can choose to, go on your own
To become
paper,
who
and
you or
you
become
could
who you
choose to
really.
stand in your
Yeah.
power. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could, I mean, again, it's your choice. You have free will choice in this world.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Thank you so much. My husband just got home. I'm gonna go give him some attention, put on some lipstick.
Have
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.